Hi, everyone, and welcome to Rising Stories Podcast. I'm Corrine Sandifer, and I'm your host. In this podcast, I interview a business owner or author, and we just talk about everything from business tips to books that we love to read and all the little things in life that make our stories unique. So grab a cup of coffee or a glass of wine and enjoy listening to these guests tell their stories. I know you're going to enjoy them. Hey guys, it is 2017. Happy New Year. I am thrilled to say that we have a great lineup of guests for this year. Women that you have heard about and maybe some that you haven't heard about, but you will fall in love with them when you hear their stories. And don't forget to connect with me on Instagram or Twitter. I'm at Corrine Sandifer. You can message me if you have a question about the show or if you know of someone you'd like to hear on the show. It's also a great place to find out about my upcoming giveaways. So make sure you're following me on Twitter and Instagram. Hey guys, make sure you stick around to the end because I have something to tell you that you don't want to miss out on. Today on the show is my new friend, Sheila Atchley. She is an author and an artist who captured my eye on Instagram, and I just had to have her on the show. She has written and illustrated a wonderful book on women in the Bible. Believe me when I tell you that it is beauty upon beauty when her art meets her study of these women from the Bible. It is just an amazing book, and I can't wait for you to see it. And I can't wait for you to hear her. So here is my conversation with Sheila. Hi, Sheila.
Hi, Corrine.
Thanks for coming on Rising Stories.
Oh, it's so good to be here. Thank you for asking me.
Well, and we have been on Instagram. We don't know each other in real life, but we have
Right.
just recently met, and we've kind of followed each other on Instagram, and I don't know how I
Absolutely.
found you, but I think it was your art that kind of.
Oh, I hope it was my art. That would
Yeah, I
that
think
would
it
be
was
good
your
news.
your artwork. It came through somehow. Maybe someone liked it and I saw it, or something.
hmm
Somebody mentioned you, and I grasped a hold of where you were and who you were, and I was like, "Ooh, I love all her stuff." And so I've just been a fan, and I thought, I wonder if she'll come on. And then, of course, you have written a book.
Yes, ma'am. The Women of Advent, that's the title. The Women of Advent, a gathering of scattered hearts, past and present. That's the full title.
Ah, what a great title! A gathering of scattered hearts, past and present. And
Mm.
so it focuses on some of the women in the Bible.
hmm
And tell me more about that.
Okay. When you look in the scripture in Matthew chapter 1, and I say this in the introduction to my book, that it's kind of, no matter what time of year it is, it's always Christmas when I open Matthew chapter 1, because you find in there the genealogy of Jesus, and there were uh, four women, five if you count Mary, but four women specifically mentioned in the genealogy of Jesus. And the idea came to me, actually, my daughter kind of tossed the whole idea at me to take some of the teachings that I've done in the past. I'm also a pastor's wife. I don't know. I think that's a thing, that like that's a job description that
It
means,
is. Yeah.
Jill of all trades and master of none.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I've done teaching. I love to do character sketches.
oh,
And
wow.
I already had notes for several of the women mentioned in the genealogy of Jesus. And my daughter said, Mom, why don't you just take from the study that you've already done, put that with the art that you do, and write a book? And then she even like kind of tapped her cheek and said, why don't you call it The Women of Advent? And it was like this,
Wow.
breakthrough moment, light bulb went on. I said,
Yeah.
Hannah, that's a fantastic idea. So that's exactly what I did. I went in and dug up all my notes from the different times I've taught, publicly, done a character sketch, And I really only had to flesh out from, from the beginning, two of the characters. I had not profiled Tamar before, and I had not taught on Bathsheba before.
Okay.
But the other three women I had already taught many, many times. And so the book came together a lot more quickly than it would have otherwise.
Yeah.
So.
That's wonderful. I love meeting writers, and because everybody has a different method, and
Mm-hmm.
and everyone arrives at their published book differently. And what a great thing that you already had basically most of your book written already.
Yes, Corinne, yes. And the other thing that happened is it was a light bulb moment in so many ways, because now I'm looking at all my previous material, because I've been teaching the Bible for over 20 years. So I have mountains of material,
Right.
and I'm seeing it all with new eyes now. I'm looking at these notes, and some of it, in my opinion, is just trash. Crap. Can I say crap? Because you grow in every way. You grow spiritually, you grow in your wisdom and in your life experiences. So some of the things I taught 20 years ago, I see those issues completely differently today. But there's quite a bit of things that I've taught years ago that I look at the notes and think, wow, this could be really developed into a book. So I'm excited about that. I feel like I have several more inside me wanting to come out.
And will you do more of what, because I love this. To me, this is a genre of
Mm-hmm.
putting, your artwork along with the study.
Mm-hmm.
And so will you do another one the same way with in the same genre of?
Yes, yes, I'm confident that I will, because scripture particularly is full of beautiful, amazing women, and it lends itself to many different forms of art, especially mixed media art, but also, Corinne, even more than, women that you'd find in the pages of scripture, church history is just so full of amazing women. And many of them we never really have known what they looked like. And so there's a lot of play for the imagination. There's a lot of directions that I could take with telling their story. Because, first of all, so much of church history, I think, in our generation has been lost to us. Just beautiful, valuable, true stories that I would love to be able to tell, and tell them with integrity, but also tell them with a little bit of a scope for imagination, and to put my art with it. I think would
Yeah.
just be fantastic.
Yes. So do you think that you will, um, you probably have a whole lot, and I know you do. You have a whole lot of other um, work, but do you think that you will create as you're being inspired, as you're writing the next ones and putting the next book and putting it together? Do you think you'll be like, oh yeah, I think I need to draw her differently? I'm going to draw
Mm-hmm.
this. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
you'll be doing
Yeah.
stuff. That's
Yeah, I
exciting.
think so. It is.
Yeah.
I am very excited about it. I As I look ahead, into the months and years that are in front of me now, and I just turned 50, November
Congrats.
3rd. Yeah, my daughters threw me this big surprise birthday party. It was amazing. But anyway,
I saw your
as I
cake on Instagram.
yeah, it was
That was
so
beautiful.
sweet, so sweet, and one of my best girlfriends in the whole world baked it for me. But so as I look ahead, at the age of 50, really I won't say for the first time in my life, but I don't know, maybe for the first time, I am I think I'm more excited now than I have ever been for what is in store.
Mm,
So yeah, just
that's a great place to be.
yes, and
Mm-hmm.
it's such an important message, I think, to get out to other women who are also in that middle age season of life, because I've been on both sides of this equation. I've had long seasons where I struggled with clinical depression. And, when I looked ahead into, the months and years that lay ahead of me just seemed like a black hole, and so I know what that feels like.
Mm-hmm.
And to be on the other side of that now, to where I look ahead and there's just so much hope and so much joy, that's just a gift,
Mm,
and I do not take it for granted. And it's a gift that is very much connected to my use of my gifts. And I just think a woman's sense of well-being is so vitally connected to her choosing and using the gifts she's been given, not how she wishes she was gifted, but how she's really truly gifted. Her real original design is in there, and it just wants to come out.
mm.
And
And isn't that wonderful that God truly does care about our heart's desires and how we want to use our gifts and
yes,
how we want to be noticed for our gifts.
yes, how we show up in the world.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and that's important to us, and that's that equals value to us. We
Yes,
feel valued when
yes.
we are recognized for the gifts that we're given. And I do a lot of coaching with women, and a lot of the things that I always bring up is the fact that we have seasons. Women
Mm-hmm.
have these wonderful seasons of life, and men do too. But women especially, because we go through childbirthing years or trying,
Mm-hmm.
to raise a family, and even if they don't, then you've got your career, or
Right.
and there just are great seasons, and it's really, you know, had someone told us earlier, we would be like, yeah, this is going to go on forever.
Right.
The
Exactly.
toddler age
Yes.
is going to go on
Yes.
forever. I'm never going to
I
get
will
enough
be
sleep.
getting snacks for somebody for the rest of my life. That's what it feels
Hmm.
like.
And then poof, they're gone.
Yes.
And then we're left with, who am I? What am I doing?
Right.
And that's, of course, that's where I recommend hiring a life coach.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you start to, go into that next season. And what are your gifts, and where are you?
Mm.
Where do your talents and passions lie? And
Mm-hmm.
it's a wonderful thing to see people blossom in what they've been, the gifts that they've been given.
Oh, A to the men. Yes,
Hmm.
I agree.
So, have you always loved art? Have you always done drawings, like all your life when you were little?
Here's the funny answer to that question. No, no, but yes and no. Um, I had never picked up a paintbrush to paint until I was in my mid 40s, like only about 5 or 6 years ago. Um, but it's not because I didn't have a strong pull uh, towards art. It was because we're empty nesters now. We had 4 kids kind of in quick succession. I had identical twin daughters, and then I had another little boy, and then another little boy. And we chose to home educate all 4 kids. So, all 4 children from birth to graduation, we homeschooled them. And it was a lovely, beautiful, enriching, hard, difficult, very difficult thing to do that I wouldn't change a thing now. Um, but looking back, I can see that I kind of made our home and our home's atmosphere my art. I was very creative in, what it took to make a home and what it took to set the atmosphere within our home and to give our children all these memories that only now are they, now that most of them, 3 out of the 4 have children of their own, and they're beginning to see what was involved in the fact that I so consciously tried to create something for them here in the home. So that was my art for a lot of years. And I was very involved in ministry and just homemaking. And I never had time to pick up a paintbrush or sketch or draw until our nest emptied
Wow.
out. And then, some things happened in our home that it felt at the time like the bottom was dropping out. I referenced the fact that I've struggled with clinical depression. And I think part of that was just being in the throes of such titanic transition. When that nest empties out, especially when you have made that your whole career, I was I never believed in a midlife crisis till I had one. Um, and so I picked up a paintbrush as a means of kind of coping with all the transition, and also as a means of processing some things in scripture that I was seeing in a fresh new way. I was coming to understand the grace of God in a way that I had not understood before. And so I turned to art as a way of processing it, and people began to buy my art. Like I would post a
Wow.
picture in social media, this is what I painted today. This is the painting that I finished. And I would get a private message saying, how much?
I want it. Yeah.
I want it. And that
Mm-hmm.
happened again and again and, and
Wow.
again. And so I just never stopped, still making art.
That's great. And how
Yeah.
long ago was that?
That was 2011 going into 2012, and then it really took off in terms. I don't have an Etsy shop anymore, but I opened an Etsy shop in 2012. Yeah, so going on 5 years now.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, and just what a great testimony that, there are some things that, that happen in your life you, that this came out of,
Mm-hmm.
things that people wouldn't think, that are for bad or for not,
Yes.
but the beauty that comes out, and also just your discovering about grace and how you
Mm-hmm.
were processing that. That's a great picture. And so these are some amazing pieces of artwork, and I just love them. They're they're very colorful, and especially
Thank you.
the front cover of your book is so, it just catches your eye, and it invites you in, like, who is this person? I want to know.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a particular woman in the Bible, or?
On the cover, that is Mary, the mother of Jesus. And interestingly, the idea behind that particular, she was one of my first, she's almost completely watercolor,
Mm-hmm.
which up to this year, I had worked in primarily acrylics and mixed media. But she kind of marked a transition that I'm still in the middle of to art that's a little more simple.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's almost all watercolor. And the thought behind her was this idea that I think every single one of us has an appointment with, things that happen in our lives that are kind of watershed moments where we can look back and we think of our own lives in terms of what went before this happened and what has come since that happened, and these major turning points. And the thought that fascinates me, of course, I'm obsessed with faces. I'm just obsessed. I think the human face is the most captivating thing that you can sketch or paint. And so I always think in terms of, what did Mary look like right before? Not when the angel appeared, but in the moments before what we know now was a huge turn. All of human history is now divided between, that point that Christ was born. And we know that she was alone. And I often imagine, what was she doing and what did she look like? And that's where that watercolor painting came from, is in my imagination, that was her face in that moment before the angel appeared and changed all of our lives
Everything.
forever.
Yeah.
Yes, that was her.
Well, you captured it, girl. You did. Because
Thank
that's
you.
very, very captivating and inviting. You want to know more. Now, would you ever do any illustration for someone else's book?
I would consider it if I was very passionate about the subject matter, if they could share that with me and I could feel like I really understood it. I would.
I don't know who illustrates Ann Voscapp's thing. I think she just does pictures, but boy, that would be so good because she's so deep and
she's an amazing. I think she's going to go down in history as one of the premier thinkers of our time.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
She is, yeah. And so, tell me, what do you do for fun when you're not doing all of this wonderful stuff and writing? Well, you said that you were a pastor's wife, which, I'm so glad that I have lived this long to see the changes that have taken place in who a pastor's wife is now. Because I don't know if you know this. So my background in coaching started so my husband was a contemporary Christian artist, and we traveled around to different churches all across the country. And one of the things that we would do is that we would, that inevitably at the end, after my husband did his concert or special music or whatever, we would get taken out to dinner by the pastor and his wife or the music minister and his wife.
Yes, I well know the routine.
You got it. Yeah, and it was usually like a buffet, just so we didn't have to wait. In and out, we're done.
Yeah.
And so, which I loved, that I appreciated them taking us out, and they were great people. But one of the things that happened in that conversation and in that dinner time was, a lot of times the husband would talk to my husband about what was going on in their church, and the wife would talk to me about, here's what's going on. And so I would, I was just stunned. A lot of times it wasn't good. A lot of times it was, we are struggling.
Yes.
The pastor's wife was like, I'm all alone. It's not a big enough town to where I can have a best friend that lives, in the same town. And so therefore I'm lonely. I can't, I can't really be myself.
Right.
I feel like I live in a bubble. And so time and time again, this was happening. And so one of the things that I had been thinking about was like, my prayer was like, I need to find something that I can leave with these ladies. I'm not a counselor, I'm not a therapist, but something that I can leave for them that would help them going forward. And so that's, for me and my coaching life, that's where it was birthed. So I began, learning more about some things that would help them along their journey. And so I'm so glad that now, and there was a certain MO, like you played the piano, and or you did special music, sang, or you did Bible studies, and
Yeah.
Shirts and dresses, never pantsuits.
Yes, and relegated to teaching little children or other women.
Right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
uh, Little
Teaching
kids
little
or other
kids.
women.
Yep. Or
Yep.
other women.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm so glad that I'm seeing that change, because women are like, I'm not perfect. Or they've
Right.
just decided I'm not going to fit into that mold. And I
Right.
think that has become, I'm hoping that that's a healthier thing.
Yes, and I do want to point out that in no way, oh my goodness, in no way am I saying that I think teaching children or other women isn't important. It is vitally important. I think
Yes.
it's possibly the most important thing you could do in context of serving the body of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not trying to diminish that whatsoever. But you're right. There was an MO that I think pastors' wives, at least in previous generations, were barred from anything outside of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that they didn't love teaching children or other women, or that that's not important. It's just that there were very clear boundaries, that is
Right.
all they were permitted to do. So,
And they were almost expected to do some of those things. And like
oh
you
yeah.
said, those things are great and they are a great ministry. But because they were almost bestowed upon these women
Mm-hmm.
who may or may not have wanted to do it, and
Yes.
it was keeping, I always think, when you're not working in your talents and in your passions, you're keeping
Mm,
somebody else from working in their talents and passions. So
yes.
there might have been someone else that really did want, another Beth Moore, another someone that really, really wanted
Right.
to teach in that position, but because this is what you're supposed to do,
Mm-hmm.
it was, the other person wasn't esteemed to do it, but you
Right.
were, and
Yep. I hear you. I
yeah.
agree. I think that's changing.
Yeah.
I think it has changed and is continuing to change, which I'm excited about.
Yeah. And so we back to my original question, which we kind of veered off into the to the on left field
It's
there,
fun.
but yeah. So tell me what you and your husband do for fun, or what do you do for fun?
Oh, both of us love photography, and we
Oh
love
wow.
our Smoky Mountains. So one of the things that we try to take what we call a Monday fun day, because we don't really have a Sunday fun day.
Right. The
Sunday
work
is
day for y'all.
not our day of rest. So we try when we can. We're not super consistent, but we call it Monday fun day, where we take off and we run up to the mountains, usually Cades Cove and Townsend, Tennessee, and we take our cameras. I take my sketchbook, and we just, one reason why we love it so much, just so much, is when you pass there's a literal line of demarcation where you drive past the little sign that says you are now in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, and your cell service
Is
vanishes.
gone. Yeah.
It is gone. And we joke together while we're driving towards the line. We're like, okay, 3, 2, 1. Yes. Nobody can call. Nobody can text.
Unplugged. It's like you took the plug
Yes,
out. Yeah.
absolutely.
That's
So then you
great.
have the reverse of that when we come back out of the mountains and you cross that line. Both of our phones go bzz, bzz,
Oh
bzz, bzz.
no. Back to reality.
Yes, it's
Back
always
to
harsh.
reality.
It's
So,
always harsh.
so y'all love doing, do y'all hike? Just do a little hiking and,
We do a little bit. We're not super serious big time hikers, but if there's some place we want to be and you have to walk to get there,
mhm.
we're more than happy to do that.
And so, um, I also wanted to ask you about how you conduct your, because you don't have your Etsy shop, but you have another website where they sell your
Mhm.
artwork.
Mhm.
So you've got your book, you
Mhm.
got your artwork. Are you a one man show, or do you have
Right now I am a yeah,
or
kind of
two?
a one woman band.
Okay.
I use Big Cartel
Mm-hmm.
as my platform to sell my art and even my book. And then I have a website, www.SheilaAtchleyDesigns.com, that actually is a blog spot.
Mm-hmm.
I started out 8 years ago blogging on Blogspot, and to be honest, I just have not had the time, nor have I had the financial resources to. I would love eventually to migrate my blogger blog over
Mm-hmm.
to a WordPress blog that kind of has all in one. You can get plugins that are, that's a shopping cart, and it's just very, very artist friendly.
Mm-hmm.
But I just haven't been able to address that yet. So right now I've got the Blogspot blog that I forget what you call it, but I figured it out all by myself, how to mask SheilaAtchleyDesigns.com. That actually takes you to the blogger blog.
Yes. Yeah. Kind of,
And then,
yeah, pointing it to it. Yeah.
I've kind of figured out
Yay.
how to piece things together. So it works right now. It's not optimal, but it works.
So Big Cartel is like, it's kind of like an Etsy.
It is kind of like an Etsy. It's like a Shopify. I don't know if you've heard of
Yes.
Shopify, but I like Big Cartel better than Etsy
Okay.
because, especially if you're visual, which of course artists are
Mm-hmm.
so visual, I like to be able to put my things in categories. Like I didn't necessarily like the look when you went to my Etsy shop a few years back and you pulled up my shop, you'd see all these little thumbnails of, mixed media art, and then there would be a necklace, and then there would be a cuff, and then there would be another piece of art, and you only have like a limited ability to arrange those things in a
Mm,
pleasing way.
right.
And yeah, Big Cartel just gives you a lot more freedom. You can have categories where, if you just wanted to look at my prints, you
Mm-hmm.
click on prints, and that's all you're going to see.
It's a very nice site. I went and checked it out, and I thought it was. I mean, I wasn't familiar with Big Cartel, so I thought it was one of your sites. I just thought because it was very well laid out, very professional looking.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you. That makes my day.
it was very nice. Yeah, you did a great job on it. And I think people need to know more about that because I'm sure there's someone out there that's a listener that they have their art that they would love to
Mm-hmm.
put on,
Mm-hmm.
somewhere to the
Yes.
world. And I think that knowing that there's something out there where they can
Mm-hmm.
display it and
Yes. And
share
the,
it.
the beautiful thing about Big Cartel, too, is especially if you're just starting out, I think they allow you up to, if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me exactly, but I think they allow you up to 25 items, and they don't charge you a thing.
Wow,
I have
that's good to know.
much more than that. Yes. So I think I pay $19.99 a month for the space because I've got more than the 25 things.
Hmm.
But you can start out. And I heard someone say, I think a few years back, maybe it was Jean Oliver. On her site, she has a creative business course on her creative platform.
Hmm.
And she said pretty much a good number to shoot for is actually just 5. If you have 5 paintings, 5 pieces of jewelry,
That's good to
5
know.
of something that you make,
Hmm.
you should open a shop,
Yeah,
you know.
that's good
Yeah.
to know. Yeah, how
Yeah.
encouraging. I think that'd be great
Yes. 5.
for people. That's doable.
Anyone can do it.
Yeah.
And I think they should.
Hmm. Hmm. I think women are very under encouraged. And that's
Mhm.
one of the reasons I started this podcast. I have seen a lot of women that have been on this podcast just feel flattered and feel encouraged
Yeah.
that they are sharing a bit of themselves and their stories with the world.
Right.
And so, because we all have a different story, we all
Mm-hmm.
have our struggles and some of the things that we've overcome, um,
Yeah.
and to see the other side, if you're still in the midst of, depression or just
Mm.
days where you don't feel like you are worth anything, it's a big thing,
Yes. How important is that? Just to be seen.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. So tell me, are you a reader? Do you read?
Mm-hmm. Voraciously.
Yeah.
Can't stop, won't stop.
What are you reading these days that you're just loving it, and or is it a book that you're just like, I'm just going to get through this one?
There's two that come to mind that I really am loving right now. The first one is Present Over Perfect by Shauna
Yeah.
Nyquist. Such a good. I love her writing anyway. She has other books, Cold Tangerines, and there's several others. But Present Over Perfect, I'm reading right now. It's really good. And then the other one that I'm reading is actually kind of a remote writer that a friend of mine introduced me to. His name is Robert. I want to say Capone, Capon. Robert Farrar Capone, and the name of the book is Supper of the Lamb, a Culinary Reflection.
No way. That sounds good.
Oh, it's so good.
Does it have
It's
recipes?
a collection of recipes and essays. I think he has passed away. He's no longer living,
Okay.
but his writing is just beautiful. Beautiful writing. It's a book that is just a collection of recipes and kind of theological essays. But his thinking, I love the way he thinks, and I love the way he writes. I think if you were to, if you had time to look into it, I think you'd really love it.
That sounds
Robert Farrar
right
Capone.
up my alley because I love to
Yeah.
cook. I love recipes. Have you
Mm-hmm.
read, I'm not sure if it's Shauna Nyquist or another author, where it's called Bread and Wine.
That's Shauna.
Is that
Yes.
Shauna? I love how
Yes.
she is a great writer,
She really is.
and her
She's one of my
recipes.
favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her recipes are all very accessible, very easy. I
Hmm.
love the way and this book that I'm telling you about, Robert Farrar Capone, Supper of the Lamb, a Culinary Reflection, it's along the exact same lines because to me, I am pretty uninterested in just plain, for lack of a better word, plain cookbooks.
Hmm.
I love the ones where each recipe comes with a story,
Oh, me
with
too.
thoughts,
Hmm.
and that's the way this one is. Supper of the Lamb
I'm gonna
is
have
like
to,
that.
yeah, I'll have to get that. That
Oh,
sounds right up my alley.
let
There's
me
a,
know what you think
I
if you
will.
get it. I would love to hear what you think.
Yeah, I have a book on my coffee table right now, and I think it's called Last Suppers of Great Chefs or something like that, where
Mm-hmm.
some of the, big name chefs are describing what they would have, like
Oh,
their
how
ideal,
fun.
table.
Yeah, for their last meal or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Tell me what you're loving these days in your life.
Oh, three things. I think that's what it
Mm-hmm.
is. There is a company. I'm looking around for this candle so I can give you the exact name. The company is DW, but they have a candle that is tobacco scented. I don't know. You
Oh,
either love that
wow.
or hate that. I think it's called Sweet Pipe Tobacco or something like that. There are two things I love about about this candle is the design.
Mm-hmm.
It's a simple black and white graphic font based design, and then the scent is just wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful scent. And then something else that I'm really loving um, is if you go to a website called readers.com, I am loving bifocal readers. I don't need regular glasses. Like, I don't need prescription lenses. I just need readers.
Yeah.
And I am such an absent-minded human that I was constantly losing my readers, setting them down, and then because you have to look down and read something. For me, every 3.2 seconds, I need to look down and read something. And I would set my readers down.
Yeah, so above the line, there's nothing. So it's
Above the
totally...
line, it's an epiphany. I'm telling you, above the line.
Why don't they sell these in the stores? That's a great
idea. Right. And so now, and I can even find these cute styles. Like, I have a style for every mood. Yeah. I have my cute librarian, and I have like the thinker, and then I have hipster, and they even have sunglasses. So I've got bifocal
for the beach
sunglasses. For reading outside.
Yeah.
I'm
definitely going to that site.
That was a game changer, girl.
Yeah.
It was a game changer for me when I found out that bifocal readers do exist. Readers.com. And then the last thing is drugstore. I'm not the type of person that goes and buys Lancome or Clinique or anything for my face. And so there is a brand that Target carries called Pixie. I don't know if you've seen it. And oh my gosh, it's pricey for, when you're used to buying Revlon or L'Oreal. It's more expensive, but still way less expensive than the real expensive stuff. And the quality is really, really good, especially for my aging, 50-year-old face. It works real well.
So it's makeup, Pixie makeup.
Yep, Pixie makeup from Target.
Oh, yeah. But you get it at drugstore.com, you said, or you're saying you don't go to drugstores to get?
Yeah, I don't go to like Sephora or I don't go to the counters in the mall. I just don't buy expensive makeup, and I've never seen it at Walmart. I've never seen it like in a CVS or a Walgreens, but Target they carry the Pixie brand.
Okay. I'm going to have to check that out. I see it, I pass by it, but I've never, I used to wear, and Target used to carry the whole line, which I think it was called number 7.
I've seen it.
I can't remember what that's called, but
I haven't tried it, but
it's like a European, I think it's an English brand, but they stopped carrying it.
Oh, I always hate it when that happens.
Yeah. So, well, thank you so much. This has been a delightful
I've enjoyed it.
Time getting to know you and hearing about your art and your book. So excited to dive into this book, and I love the font, by the way.
Thank you.
I love different fonts, and I love that you chose that font. That was excellent, and I can't wait to jump into it. And thank you so much for coming on. And let me know when you get your next book. I assume it's going to be quick because you probably have a whole lot more notes.
Yeah, there's a lot of notes to get through. Yeah. So I'm hoping by spring that I'll be able to self-publish the next one. So hopefully in 2 or 3 months. I'm excited. I think my next one will be geared towards and targeted to middle-aged women, encouraging middle-aged women. Something in the middle, mercy in the middle, something in the middle, I think will be the title.
That's great.
So, yeah.
Thank you, Sheila.
All right. Thank you, Corinne.
Oh gosh, I can't wait for her next book to come out. So I told you I had something that you didn't want to miss out. And that is that Sheila is giving Rising Stories listeners a 30% discount on any purchase over $50. Guys, that includes her art too. So just by using the code RISING30, you can find her at SheilaAtchleyDesigns.com, or you can find all the links to the show and all the other shows at CorrineSandifer.com. So make sure that maybe you can add an art piece with the book and use your discount, and you'll have a great deal. So make sure that you visit CorrineSandifer.com at Rising Stories podcast and look at the show notes there. So also don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. Next week's episode, I believe, is going to be choosing your word for the year. So you want to make sure and listen to that one. Thanks so much for listening, and keep rising in your own story.